Hey guys, Terry Bartley here again. Let's get serious for a minute. As I'm sure the entire world knows already, Phil Robertson from Duck Dynasty was recently put on an indefinite suspension from A&E for some homophobic comments he made. I feel like this was the right call from A&E, but ultimately I don't feel like it was Phil Robertson's fault that he made some insensitive comments in the public eye. I just feel like with today's more direct path to celebrity, there's a lot of people who have no business being celebrities that are in the public eye. And I don't mean that to be insulting, it's just that with reality shows, there's a lot more regular people that haven't really been prepped about what PR is and what exactly it means to be on a high-rated show, and they just don't fully get the ramifications of their actions. What I wanted to do for this video, to do something a little bit different and not just talk about whether or not I agree with A&E or with Phil Robertson or whatever, I decided that instead I will talk about some prerequisites for celebrity, so that if anybody out there is thinking about, applying for Big Brother or auditioning for American Idol, you have an idea of what to expect. And I think these are just some common sense things. I'm going to pull some examples from real life celebrities. So I think that first and foremost, what you should know whenever you start pursuing a path towards celebrity, you should understand that you will be a role model. There's no might be. It's you will be a role model to somebody if you're in the public eye. You just will be. There's no way around it. Because people like to look at people that are similar to them. And if you're filling a void for a demographic that previously wasn't filled, especially in the case of something like Duck Dynasty, then you're going to be a role model for people that relate to you. I feel like this can be seen in a lot of recent examples. I mean, if there's a really big song right now called Monster from Eminem and Rihanna, and they addressed the fact that they didn't really want to be role models whenever they entered into the music industry, and they kind of are against their will. But I feel like that's kind of messed up, because honestly, whenever you enter the entertainment industry, you have to know that you're going to be a role model. You just do. Remember that you have to act a certain way. You can't publicize things that are negative. You can't do things that will be perceived negatively, because you have to accept that it will have an effect on people that's not you, and it will cause people to act certain ways because they're going to find it acceptable. It's just the way the world works. I feel like a great example of a positive role model is somebody like Anne Hathaway. She has made some mistakes in her career, but she knows not to focus on those. For example, she was engaged to a really rich guy who made some really shady business deals and ended up being arrested for it. But she didn't let that define what her career was. So many times celebrities make mistakes and they let that be their identity from then on. I mean, it's hard to think of Britney Spears and then not think of her shaving her head and attacking a paparazzi member with an umbrella, because they let that become their career. Whereas Anne Hathaway simply makes a joke about it on SNL and then goes on making awesome movies. And that's what you should do. You shouldn't let one mistake define who you are. And somebody like Eminem and Rihanna are really great examples of how that's happened to them as well. Like, Eminem is synonymous with having a child that he's not been able to see because of problems, and Rihanna is an example of how she's been in a bad relationship and she's continued to be in a bad relationship. If she wanted to be with Chris Brown after the things that happened, she shouldn't have taken him to red carpet premieres and award shows, because she knows that'd be the public eye. And that just gets back to, you should want to keep your private life private when you're a celebrity, and only really let out what really matters, which is your work. The second thing that you should know before you enter into the realm of celebrity is that your words affect more than just yourself. The most recent example that I can think of is Paula Deen with Food Network. She made some pretty racist comments on an apology video of all things, and Food Network had no choice but to separate themselves from her. And Paula Deen needed to understand that her words weren't just affecting herself. Ultimately, they affect people like her sons, who are also public figures. They affected the crew of her show, who, whenever the show was canceled, were immediately out of work. And two, the comments she made may be directed to them if people knew that she worked with her. And that's entirely unfair to them, because they probably don't feel that way at all. And then ultimately, the most important thing is that it affects your employer. Whoever employs you, you're also representing anytime you go out. So whenever Paula Deen makes racist comments, she should know that that's going to also reflect badly on Food Network. So Food Network basically has two options. One of which is to separate themselves from her, which involves things like firing her and stop showing her show and all those things, which they did do. or they could pretend like nothing happened, and even that shows support to Paula Deen. That then allows people to say that Food Network is showing that they agree with her and that they feel like it's okay to make insensitive, racist remarks. That's the thing about being in show business, is you have to understand that even if your employer does nothing, that's a show of support, and people will view it that way. Which is why Phil Robertson was suspended for A&E, because had they done nothing, they would have been showing that they agreed with him. And had they done what they did, is to show that it's unacceptable. And that's why I think that it's so great that A&E did respond the way they did, because I believe that them suspending Phil Robertson for his homophobic remarks in the exact same way the Food Network responded to Paula Deen shows that they believe that homophobic remarks are absolutely unacceptable in this day and age. And that's the message that they should be sending, and I really appreciate that they did. The last prerequisite that I really want to go over of celebrity is that you should expose yourself to diverse cultures. You need to understand that the things you say have an effect on people. You need to understand what that effect is. An example of where this went wrong recently is Micah Taluk from Penny Arcade. I think that he's kind of a PR nightmare only because he just doesn't understand that much about other cultures. He was propelled into stardom before he really got the chance to expose himself to a lot of life. Penny Arcade became successful whenever he was very young. So he's really not been exposed to a lot of cultures since then, and that's just the way it is. A lot of regular people only really support causes that personally affect them. And it's not, there's nothing wrong with that, it's just they don't understand what those causes are entirely. Recently, Micah Taluk made some comments about the transgender community, and I don't think he realized that he was making really negative comments about them. I think he doesn't know any trans people, and he doesn't understand that the things he was saying would hurt them in a really, really impactful way. And the same thing for him with the recent Dick Wolves debacle, which ultimately attacked rape victims. And I think that Micah Taluk just doesn't understand that you can't attack a marginalized group that has the word victims in their name. And I think that just goes back to, you just need to be more exposed to diverse culture. If you want to be a celebrity, you should know a trans person. You should know somebody of each race. You should know people from lower income backgrounds and higher income backgrounds. You can't make blanket statements about communities while understanding who those communities are. I think that really gets to the heart of what so many of these negative comments are from. I think that Phil Robertson made negative comments about the gay community because he probably doesn't know a lot of gay people. He probably doesn't really understand that what he said hurts individuals in the gay community so personally. He doesn't know that their families tell them things like this all the time, that a lot of gays have been ran out of their household because of very similar comments. He doesn't know that he's attacking them on such a personal level. I feel like that's the case. I'm not saying that that excuses what he said, and that's why I feel like A&E made the right call. But I think that he just wasn't prepared for celebrity, just like a lot of other people. So that's about it for this video. I hope that it wasn't too real and serious, and I hope that my points all made sense. In the comments, I'd love for you to leave some comments about what you believe is or is not acceptable, and if you have any other prereqs for celebrity, I think that'd be great. On Wednesday, I made a video about holiday greeting cards, so if you'd like to watch something that's a little bit more fun and you see me show off my really fun White House gift card, click on the corner over here and you can check out that video. If you like this video, be sure to like it, and of course if you'd like to see more videos like this, be sure to subscribe. I post videos every Wednesday and Friday. So until then, I'll see you next time. Just up to Christmas that a holiday greeting card is appropriate, but it's far enough away that if you would like to send a card and maybe you haven't thought about it yet, or you just never have been told why they're good,